Piece of exciting news out of Hampton Roads. The Suffolk Superintendent was named Virginia Superintendent of the Year. Dr. John B. Gordon III will now move forward for consideration for National Superintendent of the Year. Just a massive accomplishment for Superintendent Gordon. And he was also nice enough to sit down with Janet Roach, one of our main anchors here at 13 News Now, which I'm sure you guys all know. One of our leaders here at 13 News Now sat down with Dr. John Gordon and spoke to him about this incredible accomplishment. So let's go ahead and play that interview right now.
Yeah. So congrats.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's wonderful. Wonderful. Tell me something that you have done in Suffolk, an initiative that you think could be a model for the rest of the region and maybe even state or the country for that matter.
Oh, wow. So you're going to ask us to choose one. I would probably say it is developing this K through 12 STEM model, right? And we got a lot of nice publicity, last year when we started the first elementary lab school in all of Virginia that we put at Booker T. Washington with the STEM Academy. And now, as a part of my budget process, we're expanding that to the middle years program. We're going to have some STEM, basically specialty centers at John F. Kennedy Middle School and Kings Fork Middle School, all to kind of piggyback on what we already had established with our specialty programs at the high school level. We have 2 nationally recognized Project Lead the Way programs, the biomedical at Lakeland High School and engineering at Nansemond River. And if you kind of tie in a little bit of the Center for Production Arts, because we really wanted to focus on that part, it kind of ties in as well. So to me, it was always about elementary school should really be about career exploration, right? It's probably a lot more than just people want to be doctors and lawyers, police officers, firemen, and professional athletes like when we were in school. But it's getting them to have just a little bit deeper knowledge of it. And then that bridges into the middle school time, which to me is about career identification. Now that you kind of have an idea of what you want to do, let's see if we can pull back some of the layers and see if this is really for you. And then if you're comfortable with that, based on the courses that students are taking, or if they decide to enroll in one of those specialty programs that I just mentioned, high school level is about career specialization. You're choosing those pathways if you're going to go directly into the workforce, or this also helps you decide you want to go in for what specific major you want to have, in college or university. To me, those things is what we're really proud about in developing that K through 12 STEM model.
Yeah, it's all about STEM. And now I guess you'll have to add AI in that some kind of way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we have, we've done the professional learning with the Virginia Department of Education with
Mhm.
AI. We actually try to get ahead of it some with,
Yeah.
school when we were doing some things because we knew what was coming down the pike. And we try to use AI to really make our staff's jobs a lot easier and more efficient. I know there's some that's shy away from it, but to me, it's not going anywhere. So why don't you embrace it and try to develop ways to not only make it safe, but really to understand how important it can be when it's used properly as a tool.
Mm. When you came in 2019, now here comes the pandemic. So you're probably thinking, oh my goodness, I'm not going to be able to do any of the stuff that I want to do. How did you get beyond that and manage to create these things?
Oh, it's crazy because and you're right. Like when I first got here, I kind of felt like the infrastructure of SBS was probably around 2000 level 11. We had a strong foundation, but I noticed it, like as an example, that our kids weren't being allowed to take their Chromebooks home, right? They were 1-to-1, but they were only 1-to-1 in the classroom. So the very first initiative that we did was created SPS Connect to allow kids to have those reinforcement activities, those programs, taking their Chromebooks home. Ms. Roach, we literally put that in place in January and the pandemic hit in March. Like it was amazing the timing of it all. And that was something while we were doing that, I talked to our director of technology and said, hey man, let's get in line and order more Chromebooks now. And I was happy that that occurred because, that supply and demand, that list was long. People weren't getting their devices for 6 months, which was then leading into the next school year. And we happened to be lucky and be ahead of the game there.
Yeah. Oh, excellent. Excellent. And how do you navigate, every year you've got to try to get funding, and that's always a challenge. Trying to, what are the arguments that you give when you say we need money for, infrastructure,
Mhm.
and teachers?
Yeah, so our theme is all about return on investment. Like we've tried to show our both state and local leaders that when you invest in Suffolk Public Schools, look at what the outcome is, right? And that showed an increase in total number of scholarships that students have gotten from our three high schools. We also take a look when it comes to the infrastructure piece. I put a lot of money into synthetic fields, replacing tracks, just overall extracurricular activities, and part of the reason why our scholarship amounts have went up is because kids now have more pathways to get free rides to school. So you have to show that. And then realistically, I have to provide them some data and some analytics. So I show where Suffolk Public Schools is on teacher salaries. I show where Suffolk Public Schools is on support staff and administrative salaries, because you got to be competitive, at least within your own region. And then I get testimonials, right? I have a student advisory group, superintendent's advisory club that kind of tells me they're always like the last people I've talked to when it comes to making some tough decisions, because who's going to say no to a kid? So I use those quotes that the students are sharing, plus things that we're getting from our staff as real life examples. And then I'll go online and kind of lobby with each one of our faculties and departments in the school where we're giving our budget overview. We do the same thing with school board members. And then our communications and community engagement team will set up a Facebook Live where I share all of the school community. And I basically say, hey, please ask your local council person and the mayor to fully fund Suffolk Public Schools budget. And we've been lucky that we've been fully funded every year. Right, as you already know, we don't have a budget right now while the General Assembly is still meeting. So that kind of makes things pretty challenging when it comes to contracts and really closing out the year.
Oh, let's talk about discipline, because I mean, you've been in education for a while, so you remember a day when the thought of a metal detector was not even thought of.
Right.
And just some of the things that we see happening in some of the schools. How would you say Suffolk is handling discipline, and how would you say things have changed over the years?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're doing a really good job with discipline. And I think people understand that you have to have a layered approach where everything is supposed to fit together. The metal detectors that you mentioned are supposed to be used as a deterrent, but they're also supposed to be used as a reminder. And so Suffolk is one of, I think, the only school division in this region that we actually have three layers of support when it comes to the human capital side of it all, because there's nothing like having the people. We have school security officers who man our security vestibules and are very visible within our schools. Of course, school resource officers that from our partnership with the Suffolk Police Department. But we also have safety, security, and support staff, S3s as we call them. These are the ones that are always roaming. These are the ones that there is some type of disagreement or something that's disrupting class. These are the ones that go into the classrooms, and they are also checking our doors and our extra layers for any type of things that may break up the day to day. So you're right where it is different, but I think I've shared with our school community. I actually was part of the school shooting in Armstrong High School in 1998 when I was a first year teacher. And those are the things that I always keep in mind when I can vividly remember calling 911 because our head basketball coach had gotten shot. I can vividly remember the panic and fear and the overall hysteria when everyone was going down the hall to go to lunch until you hear the gunshots come off in the hall, and how certain people were responding to it all. And I'm only 24 years old. So that's something that I will never forget. And many times it kind of leads me to making a lot of those safety decisions that we put in place now.
Excellent, excellent. What are next steps? What's the next big thing you want to accomplish?
So really getting that K through 12 STEM model off the ground, at the middle school level next year, that's definitely number one. Number two, as soon as this budget gets finalized, to ensure that we're putting in some of these extra resources and support that we've been talking about as a part of our budget presentation and return on investment. Number three is building these schools. We got a brand new middle school, John F. Kennedy, that's going to open up in about 3 months. And then we have Northern Shores is having their elementary expansion that's happening right now. That will be opening up in about another 18 months. And we've just identified the site for Elephants Fork Elementary School. One of our elementary schools is long overdue. So you can see that's a heavy emphasis on the capital improvement side. But the more immediate one is graduation. That's coming up on May
Yep.
30th, 1 month
Mhm.
from today.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Were you surprised by this honor? Did you see it coming?
So the thing about it is that I've actually applied to be, you have to become the regional superintendent of the year first. And I actually have applied previously. You're not eligible until you have to be in the seat for 3 years. And we kind of try to make it fair where we go back and forth between the peninsula side of Region 2 and the south side of Region 2. I knew that I was a finalist going in because there's an actual interview that kind of goes along with the process, but I did not know that I was going to be the winner. I didn't know until my friend Pete Gretz, actually, they handed him like an envelope like it was the Oscars, and then he announced my name. That's when it hit me. That's when it hit me. But I think one of the things I said in my acceptance speech, it just means so much when you're being recognized and respected by your peers.
It sure does. It sure does. Congratulations to you.